Hello, everybody. Hello, Bammers. Welcome to another some form of tutorial of how to become a mangaka. My name is Mustiaki, and I am manga-fying another person. Now, this is Miles. Say hello, Miles. Miles wants a version of himself as a manga character, but then a bit slimmer, a bit more skinnier, and a technique I used back in the early days when I was doing manga-fying for people, I think in 2014. I used just the scale of the white and just made it a bit smaller. It's a very easy thing to do, and it looks a bit out of shape, but it will bring more of these manga elements to it to make them more skinny. And it doesn't work for every person, but I think it will work for Miles. He doesn't want it too much, so I'm not gonna do it too heavily on making him skinny, but just a little bit. And I can do that in the drawing itself, of course, but it would be much easier to do it already in the picture itself. So I'm just, for the size measurements, I have the 42 by 42 centimeters up, 1200 DPI, and that's the biggest size you can actually get for this Manga Studio document. Page setup, yeah, that's the maximum size that you can get. This is I'm using like cutting it up here, just have a bit of space here just for his hair, and I'm gonna do it a bit smaller so I can get a design of his hair a bit better. Make him a bit small like this. I think this would be pretty cool. Let's press OK. So you guys wanted a version of me narrating, so I did one last week, and that was for coloring. Now, like I said, coloring isn't my specialty, so I'm trying to figure stuff out while I'm doing it. The sketching and the inking are things that I'm very accustomed to, so those aren't a problem to do. And I'm gonna show you just a bit of how I'm doing it. If you haven't seen the first Manga Yourself video, it's the one that's called Project Knuckle Sandwich. It's where the four guys are. That's the more official video for Manga Yourself. I've edited that version, and it's much more fun to watch because there's music on it. I'll just walk you through it. It's not more of a tutorial, but it's more like I'll show you this, and this is how I do it, and you can pick elements from it. And this is more a tutorial style because you can really see steps by step, follow my steps. But the first video, that's still one I have to finish because that's all done with sketch lines, and I still have to do the inking and then the toning and stuff like that. And then I have 4 persons, but that will still continue, but a bit more later on because I don't have really time to go into the editing. I've shot it all, it's all done, but I still have to edit it, and that's a whole time-consuming thing. And just these videos, I'm recording it with my phone, and I can edit it on my phone really easy, and I'll just put it out there. So that's much easier to do. So that's the reason why these videos keep popping up in between, and why I haven't been vlogging, and why Manga Yourself videos aren't there yet, and why no interviews and all those main official videos, because those are really heavy for the edit, and those are much more fun to look at, I think personally, but those are much heavier to do and much more time consuming. So these are just a couple of videos I just do in the meantime because I'm drawing it as well. These are projects I have to finish before Christmas. So yeah, I'm working on it anyway, so I'm like okay, why don't I record it? And maybe you can pick stuff up, and if you don't, then don't watch it or anything like that. So yeah, this so another manga yourself or a mangafy, like you also call it. Miles, a bit more skinny, but for the rest, well, yeah, it's almost the same. So what I'm gonna do is I take the picture, I put it between 30 and 40%, and then I'll go, I'll drag it all underneath in this the lowest layer, and then the middle layer, that's where the pencils are, the blue lines. You can see here the color is blue, and I'll draw, you get the line. So it looks like cheating a bit, but it isn't. It's more like just getting his proportions right, and also his pose. And in the meantime, while I'm almost tracing these lines, I'm also doing a bit of adjustments already, like making it a bit more manga-ish. Like you see here, the ear, I wanted the ear more accentuated, so more accent on the ear, make it a bit bigger. The cheekbones will also be a bit more accentuated, so more like this. And he doesn't have a sharp chin that we mostly see on manga characters. When you have the really pointy chin, going like a V shape, he doesn't have that. So we have to look for other elements to make it more manga-ish. And that's mostly to do with his eyes and the shape of his head and some of the line work. Let's do the neck a bit. I hope you're all doing okay. I'm doing pretty fine. It's really busy, especially at this time of the year, because everybody wants a present for somebody else before Christmas, and then all these commissions come pouring in, and I have to work my ass off, and which is pretty okay, because I like to contribute to a Christmas present as well. I mean, how cool is it that you can give this as a Christmas present, like a manga gift or an anime gift for someone who's a real fan of anime and manga. So I do the hair later on, the eyes later on, just the shape of his head, just the position, like I said, his neck a bit. I think I'll change it a bit later. Now the most thing I copied, or the thing I copied most, is mostly the clothes and the body. And also there, like you see here, I already use like these kind of manga shapes, like it's more accentuated, more folded in, more sharp corners, and then that you'll see in the picture. And his shoulder stops at the end of this picture, but I'll still have to draw it. And here I'll make another fold, which you really don't see on the picture. And here's where his shoulder cuts off. Oh, let's see if this works or not. I'll start with his fingers here, and the reason why, and there are no rules, okay? So that before I'll finish this, is there are no rules for you have to start with the fingers and then continue with the shoulder and stuff like that. No, I start with the finger just because I'm not really sure where I want to end the shape of his shoulder, because in most mangafications I do, and that you see the difference between pictures and anime or manga, is that mostly the bodies of real persons are much more wider, or more, well, like they're really humans. And in manga and anime, they're much more slimmed down, especially with female characters. They've got bigger heads, their shoulders aren't that really big. And the same goes for male, except if you got a really bulky guy, really like a monstrous guy, worked out and stuff like that. It was really muscular, and you accentuate that a bit more. So here I still have to find like what kind of person is he, like what kind of person is Miles. Is he, it looks like almost an army guy dude. I don't know what kind of age he is in. I believe somewhere in his 20s. I could be mistaken. I'm not really good at guessing ages. It seems to me like he's in pretty good shape. He's not really big, like really muscular, but he isn't like really skinny as well. But he wants to be skinny. So if we want to make him more skinny, we don't want his shoulders to be that large and big. And one reason why I start with the fingers is that I have this position, because you can have your position of your hand almost everywhere on your body, and then work from that position of your hand towards your joints. So then the underarm, and then your upper arm, and then have it all lined in correctly. So that's one reason. That's how I do it. You can also start from the shoulder up and then down to his fingers, but I like to start the other way around. Like I said, there are no rules. His fingers, this is also the trick, because if he didn't use that remark, like make me more skinny, I would use more like a Akira Toriyama style, like the fingers of like you see Goku, like Dragon Balls. The fingers are much more thicker, like more muscular, like big fingers. And in all, like Bleach, for instance, like Ichigo and stuff like that, characters like that are much more thinner. And I'm a bit in between. I don't want to have too thin of a finger. I still want to have it correct, but don't want it too thick either. And it's really about when you're making manga and anime, whether if it's a picture or from a picture, or just drawing on your own. I find the most thing about manga and anime is that the style is really full of corners, and the shapes are more, I use the word again, accentuated, more, there's more accent on, more expression on some of the lines, instead of making it more wavy and curly. Except if you've got a real Ghibli style, then it's more corny like that, or a cornery. Is that a word? I don't know. Well, at least more shapes in there, so more corner shapes. And you see, here's where his elbow should be. Bring it a bit more inwards, like I said. I want him a bit more skinny. Just a couple of lines that I just copy of these, and I'll just find along the way if it fits or not. Let's see if this is okay. It's working out okay. And here the other shoulder should be somewhere up here. I really like drawing the shapes of clothing lines. I'm not the best at it yet. I still have much more to improve. I think I'm doing pretty okay, but I could be doing a lot better. I see some of the work that really reminds me, it could be like that, of course. But I think the most crucial thing is that it's correct, that it feels natural. Because, for instance, this outer line that you have is more straight, and inwards is more folded. And why is that? Because his arm is more leaning towards the inside, which makes all the lines fold. Like if you got the clothes on this side, folds more like a harmonica. and then you get all these lines, and then the outer side is more getting stretched, because this works like this, and this goes more inwards, so to each other. So that's things you have to look for, how clothing lines work, and then you get the lighting and how layers are folding onto each other and stuff like that. And with manga, they have really specific ways of showing that, of how to make those lines fold. I think I'm gonna copy the print on his shirt because I really like it. It's going to be a manga, by the way. It's going to be black and white inked. So let's just see the proportion. Okay, this looks pretty okay, and I'll just leave it at this. I'll just leave it at this because I just want to figure out or make more elements coming and shining through when I'm really doing my freestyle sketch instead of tracing. So like I said, this is just, and if you look at this, it isn't really special. It looks not even professional. It looks like it's just couple of lines. So maybe this encourages you a bit for making your own drawings, like, oh, you can see all the results and they look beautiful and spectacular. And sometimes it can be discouraging. Like you see a really beautiful art piece and you're like, oh, I can never reach that level. But I hope this will remind you of, like, we all start from somewhere, and this looks like a piece of crap and it doesn't look really special. It's just almost traced lines, really sketchy. And from there, it's almost like layering. Of course, stuff erasing, but also more of adding layers to it. And adding layers to it really makes that more look professional, like really have it good. I'm also thinking about making a video, and that will be a bit more later on. I think somewhere in the next year is like really the difference between how you can go professionally. I did a poll, just talk about that a bit. I did a poll and make a video about that as well. I think it's already up. I want to do that before I put up this one. It's the results of the poll that I did. It's like this, you guys want to have story in there, or you guys or have a video about story, or about making your art more professional, or about drawing figures, and mailbag. And the result you can see in that video. I'm not going to spoil it. But one of the questions I asked was like how to make your art more professional, and one of these things, or what I want to talk about, is like these kind of things, just layering things on, and how to pinpoint things, and that I think that will really be helpful to you as an artist, to not be discouraged by other people's or other artists' drawings, because like I said, it can be very discouraging looking at other drawings. I still have that, I can see, like I said in my last video, I'm not very good in coloring, and I can see art pieces out there, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wow, I'm so far from that level. I can never reach that. How can I do that? And it's just by figuring things out, just following things. And I have a couple of tips for that, and I'm looking forward to making that video just to help you guys along the way of getting those tips, or giving those tips and help you along the way getting better. I sidetracked a bit, but I hope 2018 will have a lot more videos helping you out and getting How to BAM back on track where it should be, where what that really was the goal from the start, and I hope to finish that. All right, sorry for the sidetrack. I'm just gonna finish this further. Now we're gonna start implementing his signature, his ID, his facial expressions in here, and what makes Miles Miles. So if you've seen the Manga Yourself video, I always start with the eye that's most furthest away, so this eye, just to have a bit more good track of where the positions of his eyes, but also his nose and everything is, and make it more symmetrical. So as you can see, use this corner. The shape of his eyes are really important. Where are you gonna bend it? It looks more like it's rounded. And in manga and anime, you can see that the lines of the eye work, it's almost like they have big eyelashes, are much more accentuated. So it really captures that point. And you can see that this eye, the other side is going down, and then it's going up a bit, and it's a bit more up than usually, and because it has the position, it looks like it's going a bit more up. But it also got a shape that it's going pointed to each other. And he also looks downward, so he's got his head turned up a bit, looking downwards. So instead of making the eyes look like this, which make him look up, we're gonna do the opposite and make him look down. Like, then we also make the accent of having his head a bit more turning up and looking down. So that's one way. And then the reflection of his eyes, which is a very stereotypical thing for manga. It's just the reflection of his eye. You could use a circle, depending on your style. You could use it cornery. I like to use it a bit more than especially rounded, or I have to do like a couples drawing, like lovers or something like that, and I'll make it more round because it's more romantic like that, more soft. Leave it at this for now. And as you can see, his eyelid is a bit more over his eye, like less caring, like he's more chilled and relaxed. I'm gonna bring this down a bit. The other line that I find very useful is this one, and where the shape of his nose is going to be. So it's almost in a corner, like a sideways V shape. Then I'll start on the other eye. And this one, it could be, and I still from time to time have trouble with this, and I'm trying to position it better, is where are you gonna put it? Because the rule is like you have one eye in between, like a third eye, and then you start with the other eye. So that's almost a measurement you can use. That counts for most things. So that would mean if I take this one and put it here, it will start over here. Let's see if that works for this one. Depends a bit on the person to person. And then you can see his eye is going down. And it's really, it's not round, it's really, I don't know if you get a word for it. It's almost Asian in a way. I don't know if I'm being racist now, but and although he doesn't have very thick eyelids, or lashes, I should say. Lashes, I meant lashes. We're still gonna make them a bit thicker, give them more accent on the eyes. And here also, like he's got eyelashes here, just give it a bit of an accent. And there's also a bit of style. You don't want to have these things because then he would look like a woman. But here's okay. And then the down here is going up. And the other thing that's a challenge is have both of those eyes look into the lens correctly, like it fits, and it's both centered. Use the irises. And this part that I use here, why I make this more shadowy, is shadow, actually, is the shadow of his eyes. And if the light reflects, then there will be a part of the shadow, which is a nice effect, and also used a lot in manga. All right, then I'm gonna do the eyelids, and they look more heavily over here than the other eye. Just like that. And then the nose. Because of the shape of his head, the way of his position, the nose looks a bit smaller, but that's because he looks down a bit. So let's see how we're gonna do this, because that let's use his nostrils first. I think I'm gonna change it a bit later. Then the mouth. A nice dent in here can use. I have to make this eye a bit smaller. It doesn't fit. As you can see, it already shapes up a bit. And I'm doing this very slowly just to show you guys. Normally my speed is a bit more faster. But it's really difficult to be drawing and talking at the same time. This I'm just gonna copy almost. And what I use for just to make things a bit more shadow is just these lines over here, like the shadow would fall over here in this inner ear, and here and here. This would be black. It will be fun to do when we're going to ink it. And here as well, but here, because this are isn't that heavily of shadow, because if I would make this black, it would be very confusing. Like what is this? Is there also a hole in here? Or because the shadow is more coming, or the light is more coming from here, and if you get a big shadow over here, it doesn't really match, doesn't come natural. So what I do here is just these lines, just to give it more an accent. Like, okay, it's a bit of a shadow, it's not that heavily. All right. Now for this, because you can see his skin is still a bit of hair, but still you can see his skin all the way through. Is I'm gonna use toning for this, just making these dots out of toning, which got a pretty cool effect. And then his hair, I'm gonna do. I'll do that a bit later. Just finish his face first, and I'm gonna do his eyebrows. And his eyebrows is really a way of telling what he is going to express in the drawing. He's gonna look. It looks like a bit, I'm not interested, I'm a cool guy. You know, it's like he doesn't have a care in the world, but at the same time, it's not really like he's really excited about something. You know, it's really like I'm laid back, I'm chill. You know, I'm cool. And his eyebrows really helps with that, because when you make him, for example, bring this down, you can have him more like a funny guy, like her. A rock kind of signature. It's more loosened. The shape of the eyebrows are pretty cool, because it really already have those sharp corners in there. Makes it much more easier to have them make into a manga style. As you can see, what I did here, the difference is it's almost a straight line. If you can see, it's almost parallel to this line, and this one isn't. So I'll just have to look like, because you can already see here is also the same line, but it has to be the same. If you want to make it almost correct, have it look more professional, is also a tip I wanted to use for the video I want to do for making things look more professional. Is these kind of things, is you have to make things symmetrical. And now they are almost the same, and you can check it by mirroring it, and then you can see if it's correct or not. And as you can see, this eye is much more thinner than this one. And like I said, we already have to do this. It's also the eye, it's much more, it's further away, so we have to change this one, and that's really easy to do when you're doing digital stuff. You don't have to do it all over again. But now I lost my tools. Where are they? Where are my tools? There they are. Then I just have to select this, and we trace it, and then we cut it, paste it, and it's on another layer. It's on this one. And then I just have to, I use Command T for that, and then we can scale it a bit, and then we make it a bit smaller. I don't think this will do. You don't have to. It's, if you can see, you want to make it really correctly, it's 94%, so 6% smaller. I think a bit more. It's now 92. Yeah, I think this will work. All right. Then mirror it again, just to make it more accurate. And the trick is by with doing these manga files is look, constantly look, go with your eye over this one and this one, and if you do it really fast, it almost becomes one, and then you can't see the differences, the positions, like, oh no, this nose should be much more over here, and it should, so we're gonna do that, and stuff like that. So his mouth should be a bit more smaller. Now, if a person has a thicker lips, especially the upper lip, I'll use a line for that, just to also give that more accent, because those are really the key features of what makes a person or not. I'm drawing on copied layer. And also the trick is not to have the whole line close, because then it really looks weird. You just want to have a couple lines just to make it a suggestive touch, a suggestive touch. Like you can, in your mind, you know, like, oh, this is a line that's for his lip. You know where it's going to go. It's really weird how your head goes looking at it. But it's if you would look at it from a different perspective, it really doesn't. It's really a weird line. I'm gonna do this one a bit more here. See if I can have a point in here. Sometimes I like to lose myself in these kind of corrections, like have it a bit more better and just work on the details. You can get lost in them, and I mean it in a good way. You know, like really focused. You're so focused on something like that. It's almost like meditating. All right. It looks pretty good. I just want to have it more manga-ish, because it feels like it's not manga enough. And that's really the trick of doing these mangifications, is how much of a contrast are you gonna put in there? How much you want to see of the person, and how much manga are you going to put in there? And it's funny that it's also depending very much on the person, because if the person already has kind of manga features, you really don't have to do a lot with them. Like I said, if you got a jaw, and his shape of his head was more in a V shape towards his chin, and what would be much more easier to have the stereotypical manga element in there. Now he doesn't. It looks more like a comic book, like the superhero jaw, and then you have to do stuff with it to make it more manga. I'm already recording 40 minutes. I don't know if this is helpful for you. If you'd like to look at it for this long, maybe I'll cut it. So actually what I do is I'll layered. So like you see is you get the whole structure first, and then adding the facial expressions, and after that I'm doing now is doing all the details, and those are the things that really differentiate the when it's going to be pro or looking more amateur like, making it more finished, making it look more manga, and not is really getting those little details in there. Like these little lines just already make them, give them the manga touch already. Now this is a thing that I stole a bit, or I'll get inspired, or whatever you want to call it. It's not stealing, it's just using or something like that. In any case, it's a style that I use from Tite Kubo from Bleach. I haven't read it in ages, so I can't remember his name correctly, but from Bleach he uses these lines a lot from his eyes, and these can make it a bit more manga element. So finding your own style is also about what you finding the style you are, but also finding the style you are not. And my own style is actually a blend of using or having your toolbox full of all kind of different styles you copied from other artists, and then find a style in there that feels comfortable for you. And sometimes you can copy tricks that other artists use, like I use a lot of elements from Kishimoto, from Naruto. Those are these lines, for example. Oda of One Piece also uses them a lot, but then more heavily in other ways. So I like these to position them where I find them more helpful. And that's a way of learning techniques from other artists, and then using them and applying them to where you think they fit most. Also, because he's a bit more skinny, I want to have these lines in there a bit better. Makes him a lot more skinny, maybe a bit more. Because I did that, I have to pull this in as well. So change as well. Let me see. What more can we do? And a bit more. Have it more heavy on his eyelid. See if I can copy these lines. I see here, I see 1 and then 2, and I really like that. So that's something that I'm gonna copy. And those are the things that also can help you a lot with getting things more manga, or finding lines that suit you, or help you with your drawing. And overall, just finding things in there that can help you. These are just for the details. See if I can. All right, well, this looks pretty okay. I think we can do better when we're gonna ink it. I think this eye is gonna have to move a bit to the left. It already looks cool, yeah, it already looks good, but it can be better, and that's my drawing philosophy for myself that I use. It's like, it looks good, but it can always be better. Like, bring this already up, gives more focus on his eyes, gives more attention. Like, you want to have the attention all here, and that's what the eyes are really always the centerpiece of a manga, I think. All right, we got a cool shape of his head. And with the inking, we can play a bit with making lines thicker and thinner, and that gives a nice effect. Now we're gonna do his hair, and I think we're gonna cut the video then, and you just have a good look at how I did this mangification. Actually, make him look more manga. Because the rest, the shape of his body and the clothing lines, those are things that aren't the hardest part, maybe for you. But if you find that the most difficult part, you let me know in the comment section. I'll focus on that in another video a bit more. But I find these parts, like the expressions, how someone can look like himself, but still having manga, I think those are the things that are more of a difficulty. So I focused on that. And now his hair, which could be the nicest part, is that's also a matter of choice of how are you going to do the hair. You can have it very simple lines, like really cornery, you know, like that, which makes it could make it really like a Dragon Ball kind of type, or you could really have it more detailed like this. Almost all his hairs look like that. And what kind of shape are you going to use? Because his hair is already got nice waves in here, and almost pointy pieces of his hair that really makes it manga. And it has to go some kind of motion. It has to go somewhere, and I'm gonna use this one for that here somewhere. Here's some pieces of hair just to give it more accent again. Like I said, you can have so many different ways of doing this. And also, I saved this one, is the style of, I believe, the 80s of the manga they used, is this kind of drawings, these kind of shapes. I really like that one as well. It's also very stylistic, really big eyes, and I really like this kind of style and stylized they used back in the days. So sometimes I bring this back in my drawings, just to have that recognition again, because this really makes it like the manga that we all know, like from it's really like this is the culmination of what manga is. Really big eyes, get the really corner shapes of the head, of his chin, the little mouth, and then the nose. That's not really a real nose, but then the hair is going all places, but it's still yeah, I think it's pretty beautiful how they do these lines, especially for of the hair. It's almost bigger and puffy like that, with what the hair actually was in the 70s, 80s. It was all big and punky and all over the place. But yeah, I really like that one as well. So that's really a matter of how you're gonna choose to go. And because I already set this up, like the eyes and stuff like that, it's not really that big and really that stereotypical and not that those simplistic lines. It's more sketchy and more realism. Then we also have to do that for the hair, because if we then play with the hair, that's a weird combination. It could work, but I'm not going to choose for that one. So I'm just going to do this, and for you can see the shadow is over here that we can use also very good. So I'm going to do these lines just to give like a shadow where the shadow is going to be. So it's all going to be black, and then we got pieces in between, just to make it more emphasized. I'm gonna leave it at this. I'm gonna thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know if you like this video in the comment section. I'll make more of these, and give a like if you really liked it, because that really helps me out and also gives a bit more of a rating up for on YouTube, and that's what I'm striving for, is getting more of a well, being more found on YouTube, which helps me getting more viewers, getting more likes, giving me more opportunity to do these videos. Because then, yeah, I am a YouTube partner, but I'm not getting paid that well, of course, because then you have to go for the very millions of viewers and doing stuff like that. But it really helps to get my art out and help you guys, and that's my goal eventually, is to help as many people as I can, as many artists as I can, with their struggle of becoming a manga artist. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this video, and like I said, there are more videos coming up in 2018, but those will be on the way. I still have to work and plan these out better, especially for the editing part. So these videos, in the meantime, there will be another video coming out, and I think it's already up. It's about the poll and what I'm going to do with that. So look out for that video. There's a link of that next to this video. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a good day, a good December. Enjoy your holidays, and I hope to see you next time. Gambate on your manga, Jane.